Hello everyone, hope you're all doing very well and welcome to my first video I'll post here. So bear with me if things go wrong or not as well as I would want it to be. Yeah, as I just mentioned, it's my first video. Okay, and the topic for today is drawing hands. I think drawing hands can be pretty scary if you're not super experienced, and it is for me as well. So just to let you know, I'm not super expert when it comes to anatomy or the human figure, but I learned a couple of things and I would like to share it. And today I will show how breaking down the human hand for today into simple shapes can help to understand the human hand, the structure, and it will help to pose the hand as well and add some expression to it. Okay, so let's start straight away. Okay, it's about simplified hands. Oh, that's a good start. Okay. Let's first look at the basic proportions and the structure of the hand. And we will do that, as I mentioned before, we will use simple shapes like boxes. Let me draw a simple box here. It's not beautiful, but it's okay for now. And spheres and cylinders. So as you might know already, actually everything in our world can be broken down into simple shapes like boxes, spheres, and cylinders. And you might want to add pyramids and cones, but I think a cone is basically a cylinder with one end scaled down to a small radius. Yeah. And a pyramid is, well, in some way, just a box, and one face is scaled down to, I don't know, 0. Right? So, but these are simple shapes you can use to break down everything. The human body, furniture, cars, whatever it is. You can break it down into these simple shapes, or you can use these simple shapes to build up more complex shapes. All right, so let's have a look at hands, because that's the main topic for today. Let's first look at the basic proportions. So we draw a top view, a simplified top view of a human hand. And we do that and start with a simple box. Precisely a top view of a box. And now that I said it, a simple box is nothing else but a complex box. You know, it's a box. Okay, so here we have a square. It's the top view of a box. And I add some center lines. Okay. Just for measurement, and it will be helpful later. Okay, so let's call this the palm. That's the palm of our hand. And what we do now is we just double the size of this palm by adding another square. And I keep it very light because I want to add some shape to it. So this is roughly the same size. And we will add some shape because the fingers are not the same length. You know, they don't have the same length. The index finger is slightly shorter than the middle finger, which is longer than the ring finger, and the smallest finger is our pinky. And if you look down at your hand, you actually find this shape like so, right? Having the index finger here, the middle finger here, and the ring finger here, and the pinky there. And maybe I should start saying that you have the same shape when you look at your knuckles, like so. And that's what we add first. Let's add some knuckles here. There's a knuckle for our index finger, and there's a knuckle for our middle finger, and you see it's slightly moved forward, and a knuckle for our ring finger, and a knuckle for our index finger. For our pinky, I'm sorry. All right. Now let's add some fingers. And we do this by using cylinders. So let's start with our index finger. We add a cylinder. Oh, and let's draw a center line as well. Okay. So here's the first bit of our index finger, which is a cylinder, roughly. Okay. We add a little gap and add the second part of our finger, which is another cylinder, like so. And then a third one, a shorter one for our fingertip. And what you see here is, let's add some dimensions here. So the palm is as long as, roughly, as the longest finger. And you will find that the length of our fingers, we can roughly break it down into two parts. So the first part of our finger is as long as the next two parts together. Yeah, just as a rough guide. Okay, so here's our first finger. Let's do the next one. And again, we add the first cylinder. And this is actually the longest finger. Add a little gap here. Second cylinder. And the fingertip. Okay, here's our middle finger. Let's add the ring finger. That's how we call it here in Germany, at least. Okay, so first cylinder, first segment of our finger, the second segment, and the fingertip. And we do the same for our pinky, which is the shortest finger. We add a cylinder. Second segment. And the fingertip. Okay. So here we go. Now let's add our thumb. And there are a couple of things to keep in mind. So if you look at your hand, and luckily, you know, we carry around a good reference when it comes to drawing hands, which is our own hand. So if you put your thumb very close to your hand, you will find that when you measure the length, it roughly ends up here, right? So let's add another layer and use red instead. So if you put your thumb close to your hand, it will actually roughly be like that. It ends here, right? So that's the length of the thumb. And if you turn it away from your hand, it describes a curve, roughly like that. So that's where the fingertip of your thumb would be when you move your thumb. Let's keep that in mind, and I will keep this red line visible. And now let's draw the thumb. So we start in this lower left corner and we add some kind of a triangle. And we target roughly this upper center point of the first box that we drew. And here, maybe 1/3 of this square, like so. Okay. Oh, let me just add something. It's a pen highlighter, so you can see my cursor. I think that helps. So here's the center of our first box, or the top center, and here's 1/3 of this square. And if you draw a line through it, you get this triangle. You don't have to draw exactly this one, you know, it's just something like it. Okay. So here's the knuckle of our thumb. And what we do is we add a cylinder, right? Oh, maybe maybe that's too far away. We add a cylinder, and as you know, your thumb has only two segments. This is the first, and now we add the fingertip of your thumb, like this. So that's roughly our thumb. Very simple. And here we have, let's add a bit of the arm as well. So that's a very simple presentation of the human hand. There are just a couple of things I would like to add. Maybe I should do it in a side view. Yeah, let's do it in a side view. So if we turn this hand 90 degrees to the right, we will get a side view of the hand. So we will look at our thumb. And let's start again with our palm. And I will add a couple of things to it. So this would be the square in the side view. Our hand is actually not really a square. It's more like this, right? Where it's attached to the arm, it's actually thicker than where the fingers are attached. And also, this face here, it looks more like this. It's not important for now, but I just wanted to add this. So if you look down at your hand, you will find that you will see actually this face. You will see in the top view. It's like this. So your knuckles are here and your fingers are attached here. Okay? All right. So, since it's a side view, we will see our index finger, which is here. That's our first segment, the first cylinder. We add the second segment. And of course, we have a knuckle in here, right? And our fingertip. Okay, so that's our index finger. And in the side view, you would probably see, yeah, you would definitely see a little bit of your middle finger, right? Because it's longer. All other fingers are actually hidden by the index finger. Okay, now the thumb is roughly starts here, and even though in the top view it looks pretty flat, in reality it's angled, you know. So there's an angle here. So it's actually more like this. And our thumb is attached to this angled face. So we add our thumb here and our fingertip. So it's roughly like that, right? So this would be a side view of our hand. Very rough and very simple. But that's what our goal is here, to simplify the human hand. Okay. So now let's use this method to draw hands in perspective, which is a challenge if you want to draw a realistic hand, you know, with all the anatomy attached to it and, you know, like muscles and stuff like that. But it's pretty simple if you break it down into simple shapes. So let's do that. And again, we start with a simplified palm. Let's draw some kind of a 3/4 view. So we start to draw the palm using a simple box. So let's say this is roughly the height of our palm. Like so. And this is, so we look from the front at our left hand. So here will be the thumb. Okay, cool. Let's add some center lines too. Like this. Like a guideline. Okay. And we add circles where we're going to attach our fingers. Like this. So here's our index finger attached. Okay, so let's draw the first segment. Okay. And we draw the first cylinder. You don't have to be super precise, you know. If you keep practicing this, your lines will get looser and yeah, you will actually have some fun with it. Now, our second segment, and our fingertip. And since these fingers come towards us, they will appear a little longer than the palm, which is correct. That's called foreshortening. Okay, so let's draw the middle finger, and again we start with the first segment, and remember it's slightly longer than this index finger. Then we add a second segment, and our fingertip. Okay. Like so. And we do the same with our third finger, which is the ring finger, which is slightly shorter than our middle finger. So let's say roughly the size of our of our index finger. Okay, so we add the second segment, and again the fingertip, like so. It is probably a little longer than our index finger, so let's shorten this one a little bit. Okay, and last, our pinky, which is the shortest, right? It's a little shorter than our ring finger. Like so. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. I guess so. When it comes to the length of the fingers, you remember in our top view, I added this shape here. And as you notice, you will have, let me take a red pen. Okay. Let me take a red pen, new layer. So it's this shape here. And you will find the same shape when you look at the knuckles. Same here. And the same here. Right? And this is good to know. So in this 3/4 view, it would be the same, right? Like so. That's actually good to know. Let me fade them away a little bit, and we keep going. Okay, so now our thumb. And now I will show again that our thumb is slightly angled to our palm. Okay, we said this triangle will start here at the first third of this square, and then roughly target this point here. Sorry. Okay, which would be like this, right? And like that. I do it very loose because now I will change it a little bit. So that would be flat. But our thumb is angled. So it will be more like this, right? And then our thumb is connected here. And since it comes towards us, this first cylinder we draw here is very foreshortened, like so. Okay. And then we add our fingertip. And again, if this thumb would move, it would end up probably here at this mark, which marks first half or the center of our first segment of the index finger. Okay, and here we have a 3/4 view, simplified 3/4 view of the human hand. Okay, let's clean it up a little bit while you probably catch up or finish your drawing. I will use the time to clean up the drawing a little bit and add some cross contour lines, so which helps us to understand that these are actually three-dimensional forms, right? Okay, and here we go. So let's draw some more. Let's draw another hand roughly in the same perspective. And again, we start with the thumb. This time the hand is turned slightly up and we look at the front of our palm. Okay. Cool. Let me add the following. Of course, our palm is not a perfect box, right? There's some shape and some curvature. So the palm would be more like this, right? And you can actually do this if you wish. And as well, you can practice just drawing the palm in space, you know, to get used to it. Because we start with the palm because it helps us to position our hand in space, you know, like it's facing in this direction, this is facing in this direction, this is facing in this direction, okay? And we totally understand what the position of the palm is in space by just drawing this box. And you can absolutely just practice drawing this palm. And then take this palm and add or attach the fingers to it, you know. Like so. Okay. But for now, I stick with this square. But when you practice this a while and you draw a couple of hands or a couple of pages filled with hands, your lines will get loose and you might add some more dynamic shape to your palm as well as to your fingers. We will talk about that in a little bit. Okay, let's add some center lines here and then follow the same method. We add circles for our fingers. And we should actually leave some space down here because, well, there's some, you know, your fingers are more attached to the upper part of the palm, like so. Okay. And we can also add some knuckles here, you know, to the fingers. So here will be our knuckles. If we want. It's not important for now. Okay. Let's draw our fingers. And now the fingers come towards us. So there will be some foreshortening. they will actually appear a lot longer than the palm, at least the fingertip. The segments will be shortened or foreshortened. So let's add some cylinders here. So that's our first segment of the index finger. And now the one that is closer to us will appear a little longer, and so will our fingertip. Okay. All right. So next finger. Slightly longer than the index finger. It will get slightly bigger because it gets closer to us, and our fingertip. Okay. Now, our ring finger. Again, a little shorter than the middle finger, roughly the size of our index finger. So let's add some cross contour lines again to understand the form and the fingertip. And the same for our pinky. Very short. And the fingertip. So I hope you find this easy and helpful. Now, the thumb. So again, we add our triangle, and our thumb is attached here. Like so. And our fingertip. Well, maybe more like this. And here's another view of our hand. And again, you see that there is this shape here. I hope you can see it. And you would have the same here. So our knuckles would be actually here, 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 and here, roughly. Okay, let's add some more. This time we challenge us a little bit more. And let's say so we start with our palm again, and but this time we look from below our palm, so we see the underside of our palm like this. And as you see, I already add some slight curvature to it. As I said, don't sorry, stay loose, and the more you practice, the more dynamic your lines get, and so take it easy. Okay, so here's our palm, here's our center line. Now let's add again circles for our fingers. And this time we will add some pose, a bit of a pose to our hand. So we start with our index finger, and let's do this. It's the first segment. Here's our second segment and our fingertip. Okay, that looks cool. So our center, our middle finger, will be here. You only see half of it, you know. Then maybe comes down here. And again, our fingertip. So let's keep this going. So the ring finger comes down here. Down there. And we add our fingertip. And the pinky comes down even lower, like so. Okay, well, that's a pretty nice pose. Let me clean it up a little bit. Okay. I think actually our middle finger should be slightly longer. Okay. Like so. All right. So now let's add our thumb, and you see now it's angled, and I attach our thumb here. With a cylinder, and our fingertip, which turns slightly towards us, like so. And here it is. Our simplified hand. I believe that these fingers are a little short. But that's no problem, you know. Take your eraser and adjust stuff as you go. Let's do this. Looks a little better. Okay, let's do one more. Or maybe two. Let's say this time our palm will look almost straight towards our palm. So like this. Okay. So here's our pinky. Here's our ring finger, our middle finger, and here's our index finger. So our thumb will be on the far side of this palm, and we will bend it down a little bit so we can see it. Okay, but let's first start with our pinky. And now, since these fingers will come towards us, we will have quite a lot of foreshortening. Right? So the closer our cylinders come towards us, the bigger it will appear. So like the tip of this finger will appear larger than the actual finger segments. Right? Like so. Let's add some cross contour line again. Okay, now our ring finger, let's say, turns slightly to the left, and it's longer than the ring, the pinky, like so. And then again, the fingertip will appear larger, right? And I think just by looking at it, you will get it. We get the impression that these fingers come towards us, right? Okay, now the middle finger. Let's say the middle finger goes slightly down. I use a line just to measure the length. Let's say like so. Yep. Okay, here we have our first segment. And like this. And our fingertip will probably be like this. Let's clean it a little bit. So don't worry about erasing. That's fine. Okay. Like so. And here we go with our index finger, and our index finger, let's say, goes to this direction, you know, first segment, second segment, and our fingertip. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, some cross contour lines. And as you see, I keep them, pretty round, even though the finger is actually not round, but I will talk about it in a bit. Let's first finish the thumb. So roughly it will be here. You might find the thumb a little harder to draw. I guess so. So now we see the underside of our fingertip, like this. Here's a bit of our arm. Okay, so that's another view using the same method. So now I wanted to talk about, just very quickly, about a finger. Like, okay, this would be, let's say, almost perfect cylinder, right? But if you look at your reference, which is your own hand, you will find that the outside of your index finger and the outside of your pinky are pretty round, but the inside is almost flat. The same with your center or your two center fingers, like the middle finger and the ring finger. The sides of these fingers are pretty flat too. So it's actually more like this. Let me erase the sides of this cylinder. It's more like this. Yeah. It's still simplified. It would be a cylinder. But maybe, if you wish to, you want to add some shading, some simple shading to your fingers, and that it helps to know that actually the size, the side of your finger is more like, I wouldn't say it's almost a box, but yeah, in some way it is. So you can add some shading or some shadow to the side of your finger, like so. And here's your fingertip, and like so. And of course, here are your knuckles, and here's the big knuckle. Okay. But that's just a side note. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, and this time the hand will face away from us. Okay, so again, we start with the palm, like so. And as I said, this time it will face away, like so. Okay. So we can't see the far side of our palm here, but it's roughly there, right? You see these dotted lines? I hope so. Okay, so now let's add our index finger, and we keep it pretty simple here. We do very simple pose, nothing fancy. Okay, so here is our index finger. And here's our knuckle. Okay, so let's add the middle finger. Here are our knuckles, right? Our index finger is slightly longer, like so. And our middle finger is slightly longer, and our index finger covers the side of this finger. And let's say this finger, our ring finger, goes up a little. We have our knuckle here, our second segment, like so. And maybe our pinky turns away from the ring finger, like so. Maybe the palm gets a little big here. Let me just erase it a little bit. As I said, don't worry about erasing. This is just practice, and it's not about the beauty of your drawing. Okay, now let's add the center line of the palm. It's like roughly here. And also let's add some cross contour lines, especially the center line of this first segment of the index finger, because it indicates the length of our thumb. And let's add thumb here. So it's roughly this. And we have our first segment here. And oh, it's probably a little bit too big. Like so. So here we have a simplified hand that turns away from us. Okay. Cool. So I hope this takes away your fear that comes up when you want to draw a hand. And I think this makes it really easy to draw hand, or to start drawing hands. Of course, the next step would be to add more detail, to add anatomy, to add little things that make your hand more believable and realistic. Well, that's the start, and we will come to everything else in maybe the next video. But I recommend to draw a couple of hands. Use your own hand, take your mobile phone, do some pictures in different poses, at different angles, or look at reference. Real hands or drawn hands, whatever, but break them down in these simple shapes. And yeah, I hope you found this helpful. And of course, I'm happy to receive feedback and critique. Use the comment section below, or let me know what you liked, what you dislike, and or maybe suggestions or ideas for the next video. I'm open to all of this. That said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this somewhat useful. And see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.